Man, is it hot here. Let's go inside. It is so much nicer working in here. Don't ask me how I got this battery box from the carport inside the garage. So my friends, that is the Yixiang do-it-yourself kit for the MB56 battery cells from EVE, and of course the brand new trolley as well, especially made for the MB56 kit. So as you have seen in the intro, the MB56 do-it-yourself kit comes in a wooden crate. It has some foam inserts at the bottom and at the top of the box to protect the do-it-yourself kit from damage during transport. I've also flagged this with them already that there's no protection at the front panel. So if the wooden box gets damaged somehow during transport, there's no extra protection for the front of the box. And probably the same is valid for the sides and back of the kit as well. But remember, we wanted to cut back on foam material, so maybe they can use some other material like cardboard or so to give the do-it-yourself kit some extra padding. The lid is easy to remove with a screwdriver and some tools, and after a few minutes you can open it up. And I used the M12 lifting lugs I had from the other do-it-yourself box and screwed this in here at the top and used the crane to just lift out the kit out of this wooden box. I suggested to them to have these lifting lugs somewhere packed at the top of the box, so customers can easily use them, screw them in the box and lift them with either ropes or a bar, and two people can easily lift this empty box out of the crate then. So they're working on a different solution for this as well. Yeah guys, from the outside nothing has changed here from the do-it-yourself kit we have already seen from Yixiang. We've got the 300 amp circuit breaker in here, the version 19 of a 300 amp JK inverter BMS, usual communication ports. I think these are M8 here, single M8 terminals. We've got these molded plastic handles at the side. Yeah, and then we've got this modified wheelbase for the MB56 kit now, because the one we have used here, this is actually made for the version 2 of the do-it-yourself kit, but the MB56 kit is a bit longer. So now they have a separate wheelbase for the version 2 do-it-yourself kit as well as for the MB56 do-it-yourself kit. And I've shown this in the past video. They have tested this wheelbase with over 1000 kilograms. And we're still able to wheel it around, so there was no bending, no issues with the wheels whatsoever. This is a really strong and sturdy built wheelbase, so you can easily put two of these MB56 do-it-yourself kits on top of each other, or what I have done here, MB56 at the top and two version 2 do-it-yourself kits at the bottom, one wheelbase. And this tower is like 500 kilos, right? Alright, let's open the MB56 do-it-yourself kit and see what is new inside. And welcome back guys to the off-grid garage here in super sunny and extremely hot Australia. We've got like 35 again today. It is a bit of a mix of cloud and sun, but yeah, definitely too hot to do anything outside. It comes down. Thankfully we've got the aircon running here in the system and battery room. It is nice, beautiful. Only maybe like 25-26 degrees only. And we've got 180 amps outside. Woo. So here at the top we've got a huge epoxy sheet to cover all the cell terminals and bus bars. So when you open the lid, nothing of the terminal and bus bars is exposed. They also put this is the additional front panel I was asking for to replace this one in the version 1 do-it-yourself box. Because this one has the negative on the left and positive on the right, and all the other batteries are the other way around. Negative is on the right and positive is on the left. And this one is the outlier. So they have sent a different front panel to replace this one. And what about the circuit breaker? Okay, and after removing this epoxy sheet here, we have access to all the accessories. I guess there are bus bars in here, it's fairly heavy. EVA tape, more epoxy sheets in between the cells, larger epoxy sheets to cover the metal case. And here at the front we can see the pre-assembled BMS, all the flexible bus bars, communication boards, display, everything is already done. Interesting, they're using a 300 amp fuse now, in combination with a 300 amp circuit breaker and a 300 amp BMS. And this is another feature here as well. They now have a piece of really thick bus bar coming out of the circuit breaker, and then the flexible bus bar connects coming from the fuse. With the first kit we have seen, they have just cut one of these flexible bus bars so it fits into the circuit breaker. And I was complaining about this because we are reducing the contact area and diameter of this conductor. But now they have this copper link, which is, so we are seeing here probably 20 millimeters of space in between this live bus bar and the lid. I would have probably designed a copper link coming from the circuit breaker and going this way, so in a 90-degree angle, and made it here at the outside as wide as the flexible bus bar. So same width. This would have two advantages. It gives us the full contact area between the flexible bus bar and the link, and we also don't have this close proximity anymore between the metal lid and this exposed connection point. But yeah, leave your comments down below. What do you think about this? It's not bad. And I assume they have used the same technique down at the bottom of the circuit breaker as well. We will find out in a second. And I've also rewatched my video from 3 or 4 months ago when we built the first MB56 do-it-yourself kit. And I was complaining about this PCB holder here because the metal of this holder was very, very close to the cell. And I suggested to modify these holders, these metal carriers here slightly to give us more clearance between the metal and the cell. And I think they have done it because there is now a ton. I mean, there's this EVA tape underneath, and even then I have more space until the cell touches. So I think they have made this little angle here a bit higher, so it doesn't sit as close to the cell anymore. That is good. What they haven't done though is making these holes here wider, longer, because the compression plate may not sit in this position, it may be further out, and then these holes of the holder don't line up with the holes for the screws anymore. So this is the maximum, and I'm already maxed out here. Yeah, so I would like to see these ones here either cut out completely so we can move the compression plate as we need it and still manage to get the screws in. So they haven't addressed this issue. Yeah, they put the 200 amp breaker in here as well. That'll be a big project because none of the bus bars and cables will fit to this new front panel. Okay, and then we have to remove these 12 screws, 6 on this side and 6 on the other side. So we can remove this whole top carrier and can get access to the lower level of the battery box. And that is always a tight fit. But I think it's easier if I remove the screws before that actually. I think it's a bit easier if you remove the compression plate before that. One screw is now... Yeah, these were all the screws I have forgotten to put in the first build of the MB56 battery. And I was wondering why I have so many screws left. So I didn't put any of these 12 screws back in. But I mean, we've got 8 MB56 batteries here. Yeah, that's 120 kilos or something pushing onto this carrier of this cage. So it's not really necessary to have these screws in place either. Okay, here in the BMS box, here we've got this carrying, this lifting lugs. And this is exactly what they are trying to put on top of the box now somewhere. So when you open the lid of the wooden transport box, you will find these ones straight away, can screw them in and then easily lift out the box out of the crate. Got this big link bus bar linking the bottom row to the top row. Yeah, lots of nuts, bus bars. And the loose zip ties again, right? Here, positive power cable for the JK BMS, network cable, and a whole bunch. Ooh, they've got colored JST connectors on here now. Does the BMS has colored? Oh, exactly. Look at this. The JK BMS has now colored JST connectors. At least here for the 300 amp BMS. Let's remove the front panel and have a look. Yeah, quickly here we've got a whole stack of thick EVA tape in between the battery cells. These longer epoxy sheets and also these epoxy sheets here for the back and front. This all gives an additional insulation between the batteries and the metal of the box. So I'm removing the last screw of the front panel. It falls out almost. It actually can't fall off. Yeah, because of all these flexible bus bars. So we have to take this one off and this one of the main negative. Yeah, and this gives you nice access to the negative here. Okay, remove the communication cables as well to the BMS. The floppy disk cable doesn't come off. Comes off here, fine. Alright, so you can now fully remove the front panel. Yes, as expected, they have used the same link, the same copper link here at the bottom as well for the circuit breaker. And here you can see it again, how wide the bus bar is and how narrow these links are. Yes, they are a lot thicker than the bus bar, but the contact area, I'm not sure if this is an issue. But the issue here is that this one is torqued and marked, while this one is not. Or maybe it's on the other side. Hang on. Don't know. I cannot see a green mark there anywhere. Is there a green mark somewhere? I can't see anything. Yeah, here you've got the 100, 200, 300 amp BMS. Everything is torqued and marked. Nice. Don't know why this one is not torqued or marked. Is this something we need to take off? I don't think so, because this is flexible. Put the cell in, connect to the cell. Not sure. 2 fire extinguishers, and here are the 2 cables connecting the BMS to the PCB. Yeah, and these cables are now attached to these colored connectors. Okay, these ones are still just white, and this fits the balance cables which are in this bag. Yeah, and this BMS still doesn't have any Wi-Fi connector. Jikong, what is going on? Where's our promised Wi-Fi for the JK inverter BMS? It was supposed to be here in November last year. So here at the bottom layer we've got another epoxy sheet covering all the bus bars and terminals of the cells we will put in. And then we get access to the PCBA and the bottom compartment. Yeah, look at this build quality. There's not one scratch somewhere, nothing. The paint everywhere, even inside. Nothing spared. Compression plate. And down here all the welding, everything is covered with paint. Beautiful. Really good quality. I cannot complain. So we also want to have a quick discussion about the bus bar sizes they have used here in this box. So the width is 30.2, 2.1, 2.2. So when I put these numbers here into a bus bar calculator, with copper we have an ampacity of 79 amps. Yeah, that's the maximum current allowed for this size of bus bar. So, and we have a 300 amp BMS in here with a 300 amp fuse and a 300 amp circuit breaker. 80 amps. And no, the ampacity has nothing to do with the length of the conductor. To calculate that, we only need the width and thickness of the material. The length is only necessary if you want to calculate the voltage drop. Here, even the Victron Lynx bus bars, 300 by 7.8 thick, just gives me close to 300 amps of ampacity, but certainly not 1000. Of course, this all depends a bit how the bus bars are installed, what insulation they have, and a few other factors which you sometimes can see in these tables. So when you look up the ampacity of these bus bars online, there's probably more confusion created than your questions being answered. But this is what everyone does. All these bus bars in these batteries, and even in the Victron Lynx system, are highly underrated. Okay, my friends, I think so far there are a few points which I've shown you which may need attention or even improvement. Yeah, some minor issues with the packaging. I think it could do with a bit more packaging, especially in the front. Then we have seen these different size of conductors of bus bars in several locations. Here at the fuse, here at the BMS, the circuit breaker connection link, as well as at the bottom. Yeah, well, and then as you have just seen, the ampacity of these bus bars is only 80 amps, right? And then we've got the selection of safety equipment here. We have a 300 amp BMS, we've got a 300 amp circuit breaker and a 300 amp fuse. So usually if you have a fuse and a circuit breaker, they should be staggered. So the fuse and the circuit breaker have different characteristics, yeah? Circuit breaker is more a long-term safety device. That means with our current, we can go over 300 amps for quite a while until the circuit breaker trips. It needs to heat up first, and then at some stage it will trigger depending on the trigger curve. Well, the fuse is either fast or slow triggering. They are usually fairly strict with 300 amps, and if you go a little bit over, they usually trigger. But having everything in 300 amps and then using 80 amps bus bars, I don't know, I was never a friend of these high amp circuit breakers or these high amp fuses. If I would build or design such a box here, I would give this one a 160, 170, 180 amp fuse, a 150 amp circuit breaker and a 200 amp BMS. So if the BMS fails, circuit breaker trips. If the circuit breaker doesn't trip, fuse trips. But having everything the same, I don't know. I don't think this is good electrical design. Here, my friends, apart from this, everything else is fantastic. The box is from outstanding quality, no mechanical issues at all. The design is nice. Yeah, it comes with all the equipment to mount these MB56 cells inside. And these bus bars also have the M3 insert for the balance cables. But I don't think... yeah, here. Yeah. Here, M3 screws inside as well. I thought they've forgotten it. The new edition of the 300 amp JK inverter BMS. We have 2 fire extinguishers in here. Everything is pre-mounted, pre-cabled. Basically you have only 2 connections you need to make yourself. Then connect all your cells. I've got well-designed PCBs. A big epoxy sheet on top of the batteries before the next cage goes in. And 1 large epoxy sheet at the top. So when you open the lid, none of the bus bars or terminals of the battery are exposed. So these 2 fuse connections and this connection link of the circuit breaker are the only parts which are exposed when you open the lid. Now we also want to quickly talk about the installation manual. Seems to be very straightforward, a little bit of text, lots of photos in there, which is always good. They specify the torque for the terminal nuts as well as for other screws. And they've got the cell layout in here, explain how the insulation works, where all the bus bars go, how to connect the cables to the PCBs, and they also provide the default passwords for the JK BMS. One is for Bluetooth, the other one is for changing parameters. Yeah, seems to be fairly good. But in 2026, I don't understand why they are not running such a manual through AI and say, make me a nice manual with a nice text in English. And things like installation manual doesn't happen anymore. There's no excuse for bad English or bad Chinese anymore, right? Because we already have built one with the MB56 cells inside here, I want to use a bit of different cells in this box. And before we end this video here, I want to quickly show you what cells these are. Because in the next video we have to do a capacity test and have to talk about the charge and discharge curve a little bit and compare these curves and the capacity with the MB56. Yeah guys, there you have it. I've put everything back together so I can show you the cells which are going into this battery here. There you have it with the Yixiang do-it-yourself kit for the MB56 cells. So I think overall it is a very nice and comprehensive kit, very high quality. All the issues I talked about, I'm not sure if they are issues, because all the other manufacturers of these battery cells, they do exactly the same, yeah? Now, for example, their bus bars are not rated for 200 amps either. So you can buy them through AliExpress or directly in the shop from Yixiang. All the links are down under the video. And these kits are also coming with this free wooden box, which is amazing. You can put a lot of things in there. A lot of things, right? I will definitely keep this box and put some wheels underneath. It's a great little storage container. Alright my friends, thank you so much for your support here. More videos are on the way, coming very very soon. A special thanks always goes to the donors and members of this channel. If you enjoyed watching this video, give me a like. If you are new here, subscribe. And until the next video guys, you stay charged, stay safe, and thanks again for watching. See you then, bye bye. Oh, you want to see the batteries which are going in? Give me a sec. Alright, let me introduce you to... Yeah, guys, these are the cells I want to install in this MB56 do-it-yourself kit here. And they are not EVE cells. You can see we've got square terminals. This is even like a rectangle shaped terminal. Welded M6 studs on it, and they all have a bit of marks and scratches. Here this one has even a repaired heat shrink on the outside. Yeah, scratches and no barcode. The barcode has been erased from all these cells. But they've got a sticker with a barcode on it. Yeah, but more about these mystery cells here in the next video when we do a full capacity test of these cells. Probably 2 or 3 random ones to compare them, because it looks like we have a bit of B crate cells here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 3 rows. I've got only 15. One didn't make it.